Continuing our conversation with Chris Steele, former Speaker of the Oklahoma House. All of us really concerned about this $900 million deficit the state of Oklahoma is in right now. And if our lawmakers don't figure out a way to fill this budget, they could be going to a special session. Now, the most recent special session was a few years ago, and I know you were in office during a special session about a decade ago. And this is expensive. Maybe $30,000 a day for our lawmakers to spend more time figuring things out, correct?
That is correct. Unfortunately, the habit of the legislature is to sort of wait until the last minute to take on some of these more weighty issues. Obviously, the most important issue being the budget itself, and the fact that there are literally 2 weeks left and an agreement has not been reached is very concerning.
Walk me through how this would affect me, though, as a taxpayer. $30,000 a day, a special session if they don't figure something out by Friday or present something by Friday. It's not like I'm going to be writing a $30,000 check every day to the state of Oklahoma. How does that affect me in my everyday life?
Well, actually, I think a special session is actually quite a bit more than just $30,000 a day. I think it's in the neighborhood of $60,000 a day. It may be $30,000 a day per chamber.
Okay.
But it's very, very costly. And in addition to that, those are tax dollars that could be utilized in much better ways. I mean, obviously, we need additional funding for education. The Department of Human Services is in dire need of additional funding. We just talked about the needs that the Department of Corrections have, the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, and on it goes. And the reality is this: the more money the legislature spends on a special session means the less money that would be available to appropriate for core services.
What are we paying? Where's that $60,000 a day going? Their salaries?
It's going for their per diems. So every day that the legislature is in session, if a lawmaker lives more than 50 miles away from the state capitol, they're paid a per diem. I think it's in the neighborhood of $110 a day. Members who live within 50 miles are given mileage reimbursement, so it's going to pay their per diems. In addition to that, it's going to pay overtime for staff who may be called in to work. There's two different sets of staff only, or session only staff, and then full-time staff. So all of the session only staff would be called back, and that goes to pay their salaries as well. And then just the cost of operating the building continues to go up during a special session.
The clock is ticking. Moving from a special session to special elections, we know 3 lawmakers right now have resigned amid reports of improper or criminal behavior. Those elections expected to cost upwards of $264,000. We actually have 6 special elections to replace lawmakers. The 3 at the top are the ones I was referring to. You see them at the top of your screen here. Resigned amid reports of improper or criminal behavior. Ralph Shorty, charged with engaging in child prostitution. Dan Kirby, sexual assault allegations. And then Kyle Loveless is under investigation from the Oklahoma County DA's office on allegations of campaign fraud and embezzlement. Those at the top of your screen. And then we must replace all 6. Can you remember a time in the same session that we had to replace 6 lawmakers?
I cannot. I think this. I think because of the unique circumstances that have taken place, I think this is a very unique situation, a very costly situation, and it's a shame when it's because of inappropriate behavior and the member has to resign or be removed. There are other circumstances at play. I know that at least one lawmaker passed away.
Sure.
And another lawmaker, I think 2 other of the representatives actually resigned to take another position. And again, those situations may or may not can be avoided. Certainly in the case of a death, it cannot be avoided. But at the same time, these special elections are very, very costly, and they become a distraction within the body because both sides are campaigning for their candidate to refill that seat instead of focusing on the task at hand.
Budget, teacher pay raises, something like that.
Yep.
Like you said, David Brumbaugh, who passed away, obviously nothing can be done there. But the top 3 who we showed, allegations of sexual assaults, embezzlement, campaign fraud, and then charges of child prostitution. As a citizen of Oklahoma, how do you have confidence in your elected officials when stuff like that happens?
Well, first and foremost, I would say that there are a lot of good people who are serving in public office, and I think the reality is that when we elect men and women to represent us, to be a reflection of us and our ideas at the Capitol, that reflection also has to pertain to the individual's character. And I'm sure that nobody knew the full story, or maybe the full story hasn't even been completely presented at this point. But it definitely tends to shake the confidence of the public when elected officials engage in the kind of activity that has been alleged in these cases. But I think it's important that people stay engaged, that they really get to know the candidates who are running for office, that they make informed decisions, and then that they remain involved for a level of accountability.
And I wanted to get, we are running out of time, but I wanted to get your opinion on this. As someone who has been very politically active, former Speaker of the House, you worked with a few of these men. Were you surprised by some of these allegations? I mean, this is, I was shocked. You know, I would assume that you were too. What was your reaction to some of this?
Well, I was surprised, very surprised. Obviously, I wasn't aware that anybody would be accused of the things that these men were accused of. But I'm also sad. I mean, there are victims involved in these situations. There are families on all sides that are impacted. It affects our state when things like this happen. And so, in addition to being shocked, I'm also very concerned and saddened by the situation.
Chris Steele, thank you so much for being here to talk criminal justice reform, special elections, special session, a lot going on. And as we have said, the clock is ticking. We certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. KOCO 5 News in the Morning continues right after this.